Hey everybody, welcome to Kimmel's Irish Pub. Roman J. Israel Esquire. Sorry. Starring Denzel Washington and Colin Farrell. So it's a lawyer movie, for lack of a better term. I tried to read the synopsis. It seems like he's an idealistic defense attorney who loses his mentor and is forced to join another law firm, or is asked to join another law firm, and he ends up defending at some point a murderer who was convicted accused of murdering a convenience store clerk. I don't know. Does this really matter? Not right now. So I'll get into watching it, and I'll tell you really what it's about as soon as I get the gist of it, okay? So stick around. Oh, wait. Before we do that, let's give some numbers. I know you always tune in for the numbers, right? Yep. 51% on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics, 57% from the audience, so not too good. 6.4 on IMDb. Here's the thing. I'm not sure how good the movie is. It's not up for Best Picture. But Denzel is up for an Academy Award for his role in this. So, let's see how good he is. And that's really why I'm watching it. So, I'll get into it, and see what it's about. And I'll check back in. I'll let you know what the film's about and how Denzel's doing. Alright, see you in a bit. Hey everybody. Time for a quick check-in. We're watching Roman J. Israel Esquire. We're at the 53-minute, 49-second mark. So, not quite halfway. It's a 2-hour and 2-minute film with Denzel Washington and Colin Farrell. So, a little bit better synopsis for you here. Basically, Denzel Washington plays Roman J. Israel Esquire, sorry, who's partnered with another lawyer as a defense attorney. And essentially, his role in the partnership is to do all of the legwork, all the casework, and everything behind the scenes. Doesn't really go out into court. That's what the other guy did. His name was William. And so that's their role for the last, 20, 30 years they're doing this. Well, William ends up having a heart attack and becomes incapacitated. And so he's stuck without a partner. William's family comes in. They turn it over to Colin Farrell, who's going to close down his practice, and invites Roman J. to come and work for him. So that's like kind of what's going on there. Roman J. is idealist, which basically he's against the way that plea deals are happening and stuff like that. So how lawyers come in and threaten the maximum term or the maximum punishment so that they can get you to plead to a lesser term and still get the guilty plea or whatever. And he's against all that. He believes that everybody should have a right to trial, and we should be, threatening people with these high punishments so that, they should go to trial and prove their innocence and things like that. So you could see that aspect. That's the biggest one. I mean, everything else is very similar. He's still, and he's kind of a savant too. So he has memorizes a lot of different things. Very smart, very educated, but also very blunt. Rough around the edges, and in a sense, I don't know how to say it, like meek, or it's hard to, it's hard to say. He's never had a family, doesn't have a family, doesn't have a car, doesn't have the modern conveniences of life, doesn't operate well in society. Is kind of the character that he is. So he goes and he works for Colin Farrell, but he is right now made a mistake, and so it's bad for him, and Colin Farrell's character has come down on him and essentially is going to ultimately fire him when he can. He can at this point, because if he does, it looks bad on him. So it's turning out bad for him, of a string of events that have happened to Roman J. here that is making his life very, very hard. And he's dealing with a lot around him. His apartment that he lives in right next door, they're constantly doing construction and bothering him. He always calls the noise police to report them. So you get a good idea of the type of character that Denzel Washington is playing. So far, the movie's okay. Feel bad for him a little bit, but I do like Denzel acting in this. Normally, I think I think he plays the equalizer type role, Training Day type guy a lot, tough guy, but this one's a different type of character for him. So it's great to see him lead this type of role, and I understand now maybe why he was nominated for Best Actor. Not that he's not a great actor, but I do like him in there. Do I think he'll win Best Actor? I don't know. You have to tune into my Oscar special to see who I think is going to win Best Actor. But that's enough for now. I'll get back into it a little bit more. So far, so good. Hopefully it turns around from Roman J. And, I'll check in maybe one more time, maybe not at the credits. Who knows? Stick around, I'll be back. Hey everybody, we're at the credits of Roman J. Israel Esquire. So, little criticism before I get into. I try not to spoil it for you. I do felt it was a little long. I found myself losing interest at about the hour and 45-minute mark, around in there. So, in between the time that we last spoke and now, I was losing interest. But it turns out it was good. I like what they did with the plot and everything like that, but again, I don't know if they stretched it out too much or what had happened with me. I kind of lost it there for a little bit. So when we last spoke, I was talking about how Denzel's character has joined this new firm with Colin Farrell. He's gotten himself in a little trouble, did something he wasn't supposed to do. He basically says, I can't fire you because it would look bad on me. I'm going to retain you, and I'm going to fire you later. Okay? And that's where we kind of left it. Well, from there, and I'm not going to spoil anything, so it'll be alright. Roman J. Esquire, or Israel Esquire, sorry I keep doing that, starts to take some action, knowing that, he had a hard time finding a job. That's why he ended up going with Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell originally offered him a job. He said no. He goes out and tries to find something. He can't find anything, so he kind of goes crawling back to him. And then that obviously doesn't work out as perceived, and therefore, he knows that eventually he's going to get fired, and so he's going to start to take action on his own so that he could, continue to live or do whatever he wants to do. And so he does. And then cooler heads prevail, and Colin Farrell says, hey, sorry about that, and everything's going to work out. I'd like to keep you on. And then, from there, he kind of becomes something he wasn't. So he was a civil rights activist, or a civil rights lawyer, basically, and a real idealist. But then when he gets caught in this world with Colin Farrell, where money becomes more important, dressing better, new apartments, things like that. And he's not all about, he even says a quote, and I forget what it was, but it's all about, so instead of defending the little guy, like focusing on what's going to make him money in a sense. So he becomes somebody he wasn't before. And I thought that was the whole, so that's not a spoiler, that's what I thought the whole plot of the movie was really about, seeing him evolve away from what he was originally into this new corporate type guy. And that's not the case. That's part of what has happened in the film, but then some other things happen so some of his other decisions throughout the movie have come back and changed his outlook on life once yet again. So I don't want to go into too much because I think you should watch it. I do, again, think it gets a little slow, a little bit, but if you stick with it and watch the end of it, I think you'll enjoy it. I'm going to probably give it a 7, not an 8 because of that piece of it, but I think it's a lot better than what the critics had it ranked when we looked at that earlier. And I agree, Denzel Washington is phenomenal. I do like his character and the way he portrays him. Very believable. And again, I always, this is me, look for the range. I don't like to see people who can just play one character all the time. And that, I felt that Denzel kind of does, in a sense. That's just me. But this is one that I do believe that, he did a great job. Is it Oscar worthy? I don't know. But if he wasn't mentioned in the Oscars, I would probably still say this was a pretty good acting movie for him. So, One other quick thing, you know, as he is trying to get other jobs, and you know, he's going out and speaking about civil rights and stuff like that. He meets a woman, which it appears, I mean, they lead you to believe he's never had a woman in his life before anyway. But he starts to meet her, and there's a relationship budding. But then he becomes that corporate guy, you know. It's slowly, and it's right in the midst of them meeting, and it's like, no, you're blowing it with her. But that was one thing I just failed to mention. There is like kind of a love interest throughout this, but it's nothing major. It's just a small part in really developing who his character was, and you know, how he got to where he was. So that's it. That's all I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I think you should watch it, see what happens. Let me know what you think. See if you found the same slowness in the last 30 minutes or you know, something like that. But definitely check it out. It's worth the watch. And let me know what you think. Thumbs up, comments. Love to hear from you. But thanks for tuning in. Kimmel's Irish Pub. And I'll see you next time. Thanks.